Hi friends, welcome to WebChamp. In this video, I am going to discuss what is a database partitioning. If you are preparing for the SQL developer interview or data engineering interview, so you may came across the questions like how to optimize the performance of database. So to optimize the database performance, we do database partitioning. See, database partitioning is nothing but just dividing a large database tables into smaller, more manageable pieces of a table or small piece of the table. But how we can divide that? So there are different ways to divide that based on the way of dividing a database table. Partition types are defined. So first one is range partitioning. Second one is list partitioning, then hash partitioning, then composite partitioning, and then round robin partitioning. So if you, this is again completely based on the what RDBMS you are using for the partitioning purpose. But yes, so each type of partitioning is not supported in all the databases. So directly SQL Server only supports the range partitioning. Other than range partitioning, SQL Server is not going to support any other type of partitioning. So list partitioning we can achieve, but yes, by using the check constraint, and then we can combine. I mean, we can create the tables, then insert the data for the specific list value or column value in separate tables, and then we can create a view, and through that view we can deliver the data of from multiple tables. This is what the simulation, but this is not good. Directly, we cannot do a partition based on the list of values in SQL Server. Otherwise, MySQL, PostgreSQL, both the RDBMS supports the range partitioning directly, list partitioning, hash partitioning, and even they supports the composite partitioning also. But round robin partitioning is not supported by most of the databases. There may be a database which supports, but yes, so SQL Server, MySQL, PostgreSQL, these are the three databases not going to support round robin. So what is the range partitioning? So you may have a column for which you can define the range to separate the data, like date. So you can define the date range. Based on the date range, it will create a partition and store the data in the specific range valued partition. In list, like you have a country, or you may have the state wise list of the column which contain the list of values. So based on that column, if you want to do a partitioning, yes, that is also possible in list partitioning, but that is not supported in SQL Server. Then hash partitioning. So based on the hash value of column, rows are evenly distributed across the partitions. So we will get the hash value, and so whenever you have to distribute the rows based on the hash value, evenly distribute the row based on the hash values. So hash partitioning is used. Composite partitioning is nothing but you just have to combine two or more partitioning methods like range and a hash. You can use together to do a more optimization with respect to the database query. So composite partitioning can be used. Round robin partitioning, ideally this is not supported, but when you don't have any column, any specific column to do a partitioning, In that case, so in cyclic manner, we can insert the data into the each partition. So this is how it is going to work, but this is not supported by the most of the databases. When we don't have the natural key, round robin partitioning is used. Okay. So how to create a range partitioning? At the time of defining a table, you can define the partitions. You can define the partitions for the tables. Otherwise, it is difficult to split the existing table into different partitions. Even SQL Server do not support that. So first of all, what you will do in SQL Server, the process is like, first of all, you have to create a partitioning function. So syntax is like, just create a partition function, give the name of the function, and then pass the what type of value you are going to pass. Okay, so it is like a date, right, as a range, and then left for a value, meaning one partition will be created for the values before these values, then between these two values, then between these two values, then between these two values, and one more partition will be created after this value. So like this, here if I pass the 1, 2, 3, 4 values, it will create a 5 partitions. One will be for the before this value, one will be for this range, one will be for the another range, one will be for the another range, and then after range, whatever the value we have given here as a last value, after that value, if the that specific column contains the value, so that will be stored in the next partition, right? So once you define the partition function, you need to define the partition scheme. So you will say create partition scheme, and then use the, just give the name for the scheme, and as a partition you will use the party whatever the function you have created to create the partition that you are going to use. And to all primary, meaning all will be the primary. Yes, meaning we can say all will have the primary tables. But this is a single table based partitioning, right? That's why this is what the specified. Then once the scheme has been defined to create the partitions, so what we will do is we will create a table, and we will apply that scheme on the table, and we will define here on which column you have to apply the scheme. So we obviously, the type of value it is defined here, so that type of column, meaning the column which has the value of date type, will be passed here, and it will automatically create the partitions for you. Meaning if I insert the data before 2014, it will put that data in partition 1, let's say. Then if I put the range for the 2014, it will put that data, or it will insert that data into partition 2. So like this, partition 3, 4, 5 will be picked based on the date range, right? So this is how partitions can be created. And then once the table is created, the table is created, you can start inserting a data to the table. Then how the range partitioning help us? So faster query, because we have different tables. Partition is nothing but tables. One table is splitted across the small piece of table, multiple small pieces of the table, right? So queries filtering by order date will scan only the relevant partition instead of scanning the entire table. So if I search for the data like 2015, so it will go to the specific partition and scan. So instead of scanning the data from 2013 to 2017, it will scan the data only for the specific range or specific partition. Efficient archiving. So old partitions can be dropped or moved to an archive without affecting live data. So this is again the benefit of range partition, because we have a partitions. So we can create a backup of that partitions. We can, I mean, that will help us to easily maintain. Better performance indexing and searchings are more efficient since each partition holds the fewer rows. So number of rows are less in each partition. So indexing and searching is going to happen even more faster. Right. Then we have list partitioning. This is not supported in SQL Server, but yes, there is a way to achieve this using the check constraint, and then we will just create the multiple tables based on the specific value of the any column. We will insert the record into that table, and then we will create a view using the union all of all the tables, and then we will pass that, or we will use that view as a single table. So this is what the alternative to do or to achieve the list partitioning in SQL Server. But yes, this is directly supported in MySQL and PostgreSQL. So while creating a table, you will define partition of customer. So this is a customer table based on the customer table. So the process is again same for any of the database. So in MySQL, it works little bit differently. The way we define the partitioning in MySQL is at the time of creating a table, we can define the partitions. You need not to create a function and then schema and all. So here you can see the syntax. Okay, let me show you how you can define the list partitioning. So while creating orders table, even you can define the partition by list column. Okay, partition by list, and then columns, then the region, and then partition P north, P south. This is what the partition name you will give, and then values in these two values. If it found in the region column, it will put the data, or it will insert the data in the P north partition. So this is how partitioning can be happen in MySQL and PostgreSQL. SQL Server do not support the list partitioning also. Right. But advantages you can see here: faster queries, simplified maintenance, efficient indexing. So advantages for most of the partitioning is same, right? Then hash partitioning, if I discuss, so this is even simulated in the, this is possible in the SQL Server, but yes, again, we need to simulate this directly. We cannot achieve this, but this is possible in MySQL and PostgreSQL database. So how to do hash partitioning in MySQL? If I say, so we will see the syntax. So that will help us to understood how we can define. So while defining a table or while creating a table, you can simply say partition by hash, order ID partition for number of partitions, how many partitions you would like to. So based on this, automatically it defines how to create a partitions, and it will insert the data accordingly. So partitions 4 meaning this number is used to divide the hash number of order ID, and whatever the number it will return, it will put that row into the specific partition. So this ensures, meaning the hash partition ensures the even distribution of rows across the multiple partitions. Then composite partition, again, this is not supported in SQL Server, but this is supported in MySQL and PostgreSQL. So we will see the syntax, how we can define here. First of all, let's say range and hash partitioning we are going to define. So the syntax is like this. So what we will do, let's understood. So normally we create the table the way we define the create table. We will define that. Then we will say partition by range, right? So first of all, what we will do is we will create a partition based on the range of year of order ID, and then we will do the sub partition by hash of customer ID, and then sub partitioning for this number again the way I discussed earlier. This is a hash partition, so this 4 is used to define the hash value of customer ID, and then based on that it will insert the data. So partitions P20 partition 2022. So this is the range partition. Inside this partition, we will create the four more partitions based on the hash value of customer ID. So like this, sub partitioning can be achieved, or composite partitioning can be achieved in MySQL, right? And last one is round robin partitioning. So this is not good, even not supported by the many of the databases, right? So round robin partitioning is used to distribute the row evenly across the multiple partitions in cyclic manner. First row will be inserted in the first partition, second row will be inserted into the second partition, third row will be inserted into the third partition. Like this, it will continue to change the partition number to insert the data. But yes, it has disadvantages like data locality issue, because this is not going to separate the data based on any specific value. So your records end up with the different part, meaning related records may end up in different partitions, leading to inefficient joins. Then this affect the performance, more work for the query optimizers. So it is difficult to optimize the query if the round robin partitioning is used. Okay, there may be some databases that that supports the round robin partition. Let me see, or we can let's see how many databases supports round robin partitions. Okay, so Oracle database supports this. IBM DB2, Teradata, Greenplum. These are the databases which they are going to support this. But yes, SQL Server, MySQL, PostgreSQL are not going to support round robin partitioning, right? So this is that's why the concept comes in a picture, or this is invented. That's there may be some databases that may supports this. Yes. So this is all about the database partitioning in SQL. I hope you like the content of this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day. Please do not forget to subscribe Websham.